of the wildlife conservation, and in today's session we look into some of the organizations which is involved in the conservation of nature, as well as some of the specific titles like how, where these endangered species are being listed and something like that. So first is the red data book or the red data list. That is the structure of this. Yesterday we learned that is IUCN, that is International Union for the Conservation of Nature, has introduced this red data book always. And this red data book is this concept was proposed and it is handled by IUCN, and the main uh, and the prime importance given by this red data book is the listing. As you can see, it's like a book or something which is being listed, that is red data book. So based on the categories of the species which are at risk, yesterday we learned different types of animals, that is extinct, endangered, vulnerable, rare, like that, based on the threat which they are facing. So those species which are facing threat, like the endangered, vulnerable, or the rare animals, are included in this red data book. That is the importance of red data book. And the concept of this red data book was actually founded in 1963, and in 1963, that is by IUCN. In 1963, the concept of a red data book was introduced. But later on in India, that is under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, that too we have discussed, list it schedules species of animals according to their status in the wild. The red data book lists the animals' status in the wild, whether they are endangered in wild, whether they are vulnerable in wild, whether they are rare in wild, or they are critically endangered in wild, etc. Then the different countries have different red lists. A series of regional red lists are there, even though there is a, because each country is having its own role in the protection of its natural resources. And we have learned that is the wildlife resources is a renewable resource. So each country have its role in protecting its wildlife resources, including both plants and animals. So in India, the Botanical Survey of India and the Zoological Survey of India. From the name itself, it's clear. The Botanical Survey of India means most probably, yes, they give importance to the plants. Zoological Survey of India, yes, it gives importance to animals. And they publish the Red Data book on the animals and plants which are under threat. So like that, each country will be having a red list of its own. Each country, like India, we have a Botanical Survey of India and the Zoological Survey of India. Each country will be having an organization or specific agencies which is having the role in listing the organizations. So the Red Data Book is a public document, and it is include the species categories and the world's most important comprehensive inventory of global conservation status is given in IUCN Red List. So IUCN Red List, it will be having a comprehensive report of all countries' conservation status. So it include it, and they use a set of criteria. There are some criteria to evaluate whether a organism is extinct or endangered, etc. And And with this, they are, I mean, overall, every 5 years, that is more important. Every 5 years, there is a re-evaluation, revaluation. Help my heart's drawn, and I will stick this thing here and copy. In every, even though there is a red list which is prepared by each countries, the every 5 years there is a re-evaluation. Every year there is a re-evaluation. For example, in 2000, for example, 2000 there, for example, in the year 2000, 2020, in India, there are, for example, this tiger. There are 2000 tigers in India. That is the report. I mean, this is a hypothetical data I am telling. For this 2000, in the year 2020, 2000 tigers are there in India. So, next, after 5 years, that is in 2025, there will be an evaluation based on the factor whether there is an increase in the number of this tiger. In 2020, there were 2000 tigers in India. So because they are endangered, we are conserving it, we are protecting it by adopting different strategies. So after 5 years, they will monitor whether there is a change. What is the change? Is there an increase or decrease in the number of tiger in India? That is, there is a India, is there any change? They will be, that is, every year there's a revaluation. How threatened is a particular species? What are the threats? Is it fragmentation, or is it this? Is it habitat disruption, or is it hunting, or is it poaching? What is responsible for the threat of these species? So the red list usually, the questions which is put forth by the IUCN are how threatened a particular species is. That means how many number is there. What are the threat to these organisms? What are the threats to a species? That means what are the reasons? Is it climate change, or is it poaching or hunting? How many threatened species occur in a given country? That is the number. I said 100 or 200, like that. Then how many extinctions have there been? Each list will be considered. And this red list categories. The red list has the species are classified by IUCN red list into 9 groups, and they are extinct, extinct in wild, critically endangered, endangered, near threatened, least concerned, data deficient, not evaluated. These are the different categories which is listed by the IUCN. And extinct means, as they will learn. And the species are categorized into broadly into two lists. You can see in this. Here you can see all species are categorized into two groups, that is evaluated and not evaluated. See, even though the number of species which have identified is very less when compared to the number of species which have not identified. In world there will be millions and millions of organisms, but we have identified only very few. Hmm? So the red list categories are extinct. Extinct means they are no more. Then they are extinct in wild. That is, they are not only to survive in the extinct in wild means they are only surviving in the zoos or in captivity or in as a natural population outside its specific region. That's known as extinct in wild. Animals extinct means zero number of animals. Extinct in wild means what? In forest you can never find that organism, but they will be in forest, the number will be zero, but in zoo the number will be 10. That is known as extinct in wild. Wild extinct type. That is what is known as extinct in wild. So in captivity, like zoos, there will be 10 number or 15 number, maybe 50, whatever. The next category is critically endangered. Critically endangered means they are at extremely high risk. They are facing greatest threat to become extinct in the near future. Then endangered organisms, they are also facing high risk of extinction. Then vulnerable, they are at the verge of to become endangered. In the near future, the vulnerable species, if it is not conserved, they will become endangered. Then near threatened means they are about to become threatened in the near future, or if they are going to become endangered. Then least concern. Least concern means they are at lower risk. That means they do not qualify for a more at a risk category. They will be least concern means they do not face a risk, or they are not facing a threat now. But maybe in the far future, they may face a threat. That is what is known as least concern. Least concern are those organisms which are not facing any threat in the present situation. The data deficient. Data deficient means the data of these organisms, how much extinct or how much threat or how much endangerment they are facing data will not be present. That is known as data deficient. And data not evaluated means we have not evaluated or we have not identified a particular species, how much number there are, and this that is not evaluated category. So students who are attending, you can copy this picture in this. This is a flow chart which shows the not evaluated, evaluated. Among evaluated also, there is of two categories. Adequate data means we have enough data. For example, we are 100% sure how many animals are there in the world now. That's known as adequate data. We have enough data about the strategy of these organisms. Data deficient means data is absent or data is missing. Adequate data include the list of organisms: extinct, endangered, critically endangered, vulnerable, because we know how many number exist now. That is known as adequate data. So here this is important. This flowchart you can sketch it down even after the class or now. After the class you can later on sketch this flowchart. Now next is IUCN. IUCN, that is the organizations which are involved in the wildlife conservation. IUCN is an organization which is involved in the wildlife conservation. It is one of the organizations which is involved in wildlife conservation, and IUCN full form is International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. That is IUCN, and it is dependent. See, you can see the nature as well as the natural resources, and the headquarters of this IUCN is located in Switzerland. Switzerland, and this is the IUCN Conservation Center. And it under this IUCN, both the government and non-government organizations work together in the conservation. IUCN is International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. Under IUCN, who all are working? Government bodies as well as the non-government bodies work under this IUCN for the protection of nature. And it was constituted in the year 1948. IUCN was constituted in the year 1948, and it provides knowledge about the importance of the animals, importance of wildlife, importance of forest. It creates awareness. The main job or main role which is done by this IUCN is to create awareness among the people, to promote and support the action that will help in the perpetuation or continuation. Perpetuation means continuation, or continuation of the nature and natural resources in a sustainable manner. When nature exists only, we will exist. So it was constituted in 1948, and its headquarters is in Switzerland. Both the government and non-government organizations work under this IUCN, and it is the world's largest and the most diverse environmental network. This is important. IUCN is the world's largest and the most diverse environmental network. Lot many countries join hands with IUCN to protect the nature, protect as well as conserve the nature and its natural resources. Hmm? So let me say it once more. IUCN, International Union for the Conservation of Nature. This is important. International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. It is headquarters is in Switzerland. Both government, third point, both government and non-government organizations work under IUCN. Then it provides awareness among people about the importance of nature. Then it is the world's largest and the most diverse environmental network. And let's see what are the objectives of this IUCN. And IUCN provides the framework for planning, implementing, monitoring, and evaluating the conservation work undertaken by the commissions and secretariat with on behalf of IUCN members. Both the IUCN members and the government and non-government organizations could join hands to work together for the conservation of the nature. And some of the objectives which is being promoted by IUCN are the first one and the most important one is awareness. You get awareness through daily newspapers. You get so many awareness. In every newspaper, you will have a small news about the conservation importance, things like that, importance of a plant, the threat faced by the organisms, and now deficiency of oxygen, like that. Pollution, harmful effects of pollution, those things. So first and the important objective is awareness through education. Then provides technical data for the conduct of the conservation practical conservation programs. See, that is I'm sorry. They give technical data means how far is the what is the conservation strategy or what is the status of a particular organism, what is the status of a forest, like Amazon forest, for example. Amazon forest, how important it is and why you should conserve it, like that. And that is what is known as that is what is known that those are the important works which is done by this, that is done by the that is these are the important activities which is focused by this IUCN. Then next is WWF, another organization which works for the conservation of nature and is WWF. That is one of the world's largest conservation organization, and it is a non-governmental organization which was started in April 29, 1961. IUCN 43. This is in 1961 because under IUCN, lot many organizations started joining hands by understanding the importance of conserving nature, and that is one is WWF. It is founded in April 29 in 1961, working in the field of biodiversity conservation and reduction of sorry, reduction of humanity's footprint on the environment. And its first office was started in 1961 in the Swiss town of Morges, and this it was located in Switzerland, and it was located at in Gland of Switzerland, and it is registered under the Swiss law. And Prince Bernhard was the first president of this WWF. Because the royal people were convinced by the organizations like IUCN about the importance of conservation of nature, and he was the first president, and he took a lot many initiatives and supported people who were providing education under this conservation strategy. Along with WWF, WCU has taken up the plant conservation campaign to promote the conservation of plants also. Now, WWF, the first name was the World Wildlife Fund. So when the name fund came, it's like fund raising or fund giving or something like that. And later on, the name was no longer suitable. And in 1886, WWF realized that the name, that is World Wildlife Fund, is not that much suitable and it is not reflecting on the work which is done by or the scope of the activities done by WWF. So the name was changed to World Wide Fund for Nature. So the term nature, World Wide Fund for Nature. Then the United States and all, and Canada and these are the countries which retain the old name itself. And the logo of WWF is that of a white panda. Then the panda's name is Chi Chi. Chi Chi is the name of the panda and that has been transferred from zoo. It was existing in the zoo in Beijing. Then it was, that is Chi Chi, that is the panda. And in WWF has its office in India, that is, it was established in 1969. Even though it was started in 61, the headquarters or India WWF was established in 1969 with its headquarters in Mumbai, Kolkata, Madras, Chennai and Delhi, which are the regional headquarters. And the main headquarters is in Bombay or Mumbai. The mission of WWF is to stop the degradation of planet's natural environment, that is nature for future. There's like that they have their own mission in protecting the nature and promoting or guiding or educating people to go in harmony with nature by conserving the world's biological diversity, then ensuring that the renewable resource is sustainable. Even though the wildlife is a renewable resource, it should be sustainable by the proper utilization of these resources. Then it promotes the reduction of pollution and wasteful consumption. And these are the mission of WWF. They are very much involved in controlling the plastic pollution, etc. And WWF focuses their efforts at the multiple levels, starting with wildlife, habitats, and local communities. They are mainly involved in organizing the awareness programs at the school level or college level, at panchayat level, or etc. And this WWF supports several conservation projects in India like the GIR Ecological Research Project, then the Project Hangul, then the Project Tiger, Himalayan Musk Deer Project, etc. are some of the projects which is supported by WWF in India. And they are mainly promoting or protecting nature by its catchy images. Like you can see in this picture, always the horn of rhino is taken. The rhinos are hunted for its horn and its skin. Animals are hunted for its tusk. Elephant, then and the tiger is hunted for its coat or the skin. So they always use like catchy tags like I'm not a medicine or I'm not a rug, like this catchy for promoting this importance of conservation through certain images and pictures for education. And in this last picture also you can see the conservation importance of Amazon forest. And the picture shows the forests are the lungs of nature, or Amazon forest is considered to be the lungs, because more plants are there, more oxygen is coming from that region, and so they are considered as the lungs of the nature. So that's forests are considered as the lungs of nature. So because they are involved in WWF is mainly involved in awareness programs like this, they lot many campaign is done by this catchy wordings too. Next is CITES. CITES or CITES. It is the Conservation on International Trade in Endangered Species. You know, animals are traded. Or quite often we see this star tortoise. Quite often we see star tortoise and we see that amphibian, Jejnophis or Ichthyophis, Iridalamuri. These are some of the examples we quite often see in newspapers and news and media and all. One is star tortoise, then this Iridalamuri, that is an amphibian, then the ivory or of tusk, then skin of animals like that. So CITES is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, and it was established mainly to put a control on this trading of animals. So it mainly aims to ensure that the trade of specimens like animals is done in such a manner that the animals will not face a threat. For example, every year from this country to this country, only one skin can be taken or one animal can be taken. Unlimited utilization of wildlife resources is prevented by CITES. And then, like this, many animals, horn animals are traded like fishes. Lot many butterflies were killed by people to make pictures or to for designing dresses like that. So, convention or CITES, its main aim is to control the trading of animals or plants so that these animals will not face a threat later. After some years, if the trading is not controlled, the animals definitely will become endangered. So the number will be limited based on certain rule and law which is implemented by government. Then this CITES establishes an international legal framework with the common procedural mechanisms. For example, from Indian zoo, one animal will be taken to this country and that means this number. If you have 10 number of animals in a zoo of Trivandrum, you are giving 2 numbers to a zoo in Mumbai. And you have to ensure when you give things from one place to another, if you are transporting one animal or plant from one region to another, we have to ensure that this animal or plant will not face a threat by doing that. That is done by CITES. So you can transfer or hand over animals or plants, but it will be based on certain rules. For example, if you are taking a plant specimen from Canada or USA to India, you have to get the permission from the government bodies, how many numbers we are taking and for what purpose we are taking, like that. For research, many people carry the animal and plant specimens. For example, if you are taking a seed of a plant from one world to another, one region of a world to another part, you have to give reason. I am taking this seed or this animal skin or hair of this animal for research purpose. You have to sign and get permission. That is what is known as CITES. It allows each party to do research or work or propagation or promotion, but it is based on certain rules and regulations. That is known as CITES. So with that and this, because the CITES is implemented, the animals will not be facing a threat. So with this I conclude today's session, and it was mainly about the IUCN, the organizations which work for the conservation of nature like IUCN, the Red Data book which comes under this, which is supported by IUCN, then the WWF, then CITES. Thank you.